And here's Coach Tim DeRuyter sitting pretty atop the West Division of the Mountain West Conference at 2-0, visiting UNLV for the Rebels homecoming Friday night. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great. I don't know about the sitting pretty part, but we are pleased after Friday night being able to get a good conference win. I thought both teams, really fought. Give San Diego State credit. They, went on the road and what I think is a tough environment, and it was a typical San Diego State-Fresno State game where it was very, very physical. Came down to a few plays. I think obviously the turnover, battle kind of decided it with us getting those two takeaways in the fourth quarter was huge. But great cap on a nice night. I thought our equipment staff did a great job with the new navy blue uniforms. Appreciate the crowd coming out and supporting that. It looked great on TV with that in the chrome helmets. Having Derek here obviously was a nice touch as well. Keeping the oil can here for the third straight year is big for our program, big for recruiting, and it's something that our guys take a lot of pride in. And getting that win is going to give us some momentum going into this week. With UNLV on Friday night, we know we're playing a team that has struggled a little bit, but they're a team that's well coached. I've got a ton of respect for Bobby Houck and his staff. We know that they're going to be coming out fighting for their lives this week, and we're going to have to do what we've done the last few weeks, and that's improve each week for us to go on the road and get another conference win. So we're excited about the opportunity and excited about the opportunity to get better this week.
Any questions for Coach? Please use the mic.
Coach, watching UNLV get off to the start the Rebels have, a 1-point win over an FCS school, their only victory to this point. How big a role does it seem to you like injuries have played? What do you see from their quarterback position? How would you evaluate this team going into Friday?
Well, clearly they're struggling a little bit. They're struggling to find an identity. They've had a bunch of injuries. I think going to the San Diego State game, they had about 30 guys listed on their injury report. And it's tough to sustain anything when you have those type of concerns. They got dealt a tough hand in the off-season. They thought they were going to have an APR issue. The NCAA allowed players to transfer. They had some of their best players transfer. Then they told them, oh, by the way, we made a mistake. They didn't have to, and you guys are bowl eligible. That's tough for anybody. But Coach Houck has done a tremendous job. I think he won 8 games last year. He kind of proved what kind of a coach he and his staff are. We know that even though they've struggled, they'll have their guys ready. Kind of like the last couple opponents. When you play a rematch game from a year ago, those guys have pride. They'd love nothing else than to knock us off. So, we're not worried about them so much, and whether they're having struggles or not. We've got to get better. We didn't play great last week. We got the win. There's a ton of things we can do to improve.
They've shown they have some young receivers who have some potential, but how big a difference does it make whether 81's out there or not?
Davis, I think, is one of the best receivers in our league, and so obviously that's hurt them. I don't know if they're listing him as playing or not, but clearly if we lose a Josh Harper, it's going to affect us. And with Davis, it's obviously affected them to a certain extent. And I think their quarterback got banged up last week, and they had to bring in 3 later on. So all those things can affect an offense. But we're not feeling sorry for anybody. They're not feeling sorry for us. And the injuries we have. It's college football. They do have some good, very talented young guys that we've got to do a great job of disrupting timing and getting our hands on receivers to be able to defend them. Last week we had too many guys behind us. Again, we were fortunate that they weren't able to find them. So we've got a lot of improvement we've got to do.
Coach, how do you keep this team motivated to face a 1-5 team?
That's real easy. Our number one goal is to win this conference. In order to do that, you got to win every week, and that's all our guys are focused about. We don't care so much about who the opponent is. We've got to go 1-0 each and every week, and if we'll do that, then we can accomplish our goals. If we think we can show up and beat anybody, we're going to find ourselves on the outside looking in. So I don't worry about motivation this week. We got a bunch of guys that put a ton of work. You only get 12 guaranteed games, and this is one of them. And this is one that counts because it's a conference game, and it's on the road. So you've got to improve during the week of practice, and then go out and execute on Friday.
Coach, what's the biggest difference between where your team was at, 3 weeks in, and now? Either mentally or
aside from that we're 3-3, yeah, and probably the biggest difference is mentally at 3-3 or at 0-3. Obviously, guys are scrambling. Their confidence is being checked to see hey, what kind of team are we? A lot of people on the outside. We talk about this with our team. Questioning them. Hey, you guys have lost it. Derek's not here. Devontae. But we've got a bunch of guys that have been in a lot of hard work, that have a lot of pride. They ignored the outside voices and they kept practicing harder, and we're getting better. We're not a finished product by any stretch right now. But I think we've got guys with really good leadership, Duron on defense, Harp on offense, among other guys that ignore the naysayers and say, hey, we've still got all of our goals and we're going to go out and attempt to accomplish them. That doesn't mean we're going to do it? No, we got to go out and execute. But I think the fact that we played the last 3 weeks, kind of ignoring what happened the first 3 weeks, speaks a lot to their character.
Coach, can you go through UNLV for us real quick on offense and defense? Tell us what you might be able to expect to see on Friday.
Well, offensively, they're struggling a little bit. They're running a spread system, but they've been banged up. Their best receiver, Devontae Davis, has been out the last couple of weeks. They've got a couple of really good running backs that are tough guys to tackle. They'll run some multiple personnel and formation stuff. And with Decker, they've got a quarterback who's very, very mobile. He got banged up at the end of the game, so we'll see. Nick Sherry started for him a couple of years ago. He's a big, strong arm guy. We may see him. Defensively, they've been an aggressive unit that's given up some big plays. Again, they're a team that's trying to find their identity on defense a little bit as well. Special teams, Coach Houck is their special teams coordinator. They're going to do a bunch of different kicks. They're going to put some pressure on you in the special team. So we've got to be wary of everything there. A year ago they tried faking a punt against us. It's going to be one of those games where we're going to have to be constantly alert to anything.
Coach, the last answer you were talking about, obviously feeling better mentally now that you guys are 3-3. Is it, we threw the word trap game out in between San Diego State and Boise State, is that at all?
I think maybe if we were 6-0, maybe we'd think about that. Our guys are worried about getting better every week. We know there is no margin for error where you can ease into any game. I don't worry about those kind of concerns at all. Our guys know we've got to play our best to have a chance each week, and we're going to coach like that. They're going to practice like that, and we anticipate playing like that on Friday.
So feeling better, but not feeling maybe on the same level as you were at this point a year ago?
Oh no, I mean totally different teams. A year ago you're undefeated at this point. This year we're 3-3. We're barely treading water right now, and that's not our standard. We've got to continue each week improve.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, your pass defense has had its issues the last couple of years into the season, but 2 games in a row you've held opponents less than 100 yards. Now I know you had a freshman quarterback in one and a triple option team in the other, so that has something to do with it. But from a confidence standpoint, does that help those guys a little bit, knowing that they've been able to?
I'd like to think that the confidence-wise it does, because even though we have been playing against teams that aren't probably the top end throwing the ball because of their injuries or the structure of their offense. Our guys are getting better. They're playing better, and to me, it starts with technique, and then it goes to confidence, and then when you're put in situations, are you able to make plays on the ball? We had Malcolm. They threw a fade on him on a 3rd down play. I liked how he competed. Now he's got to get thicker. He's got to get stronger, but he's a long, athletic, fast guy that the reps he's getting now are going to pay dividends down the road, and so those kind of things I think are helping his confidence and ultimately going to help us as a defense. In order to play defense, you got to have corners that can stand up, because especially in our scheme, we're not going to play cover 2 every snap. We got to have guys that can play man coverage, and it was good to see Malcolm step up, and I thought Jamal did some good things and Curtis has been improving.